various locations via the miracle of Skype, it's the 40th anniversary season of the LTN Hour. Let's talk NASCAR with your host, Todd Bailing, co-hosts Brian Schmidt, PJ Noodleman, and producer Dangerous Dan Margetta. Call the show anytime at 414-421-7901. And now, the creator and host of the fastest hour in radio, Todd Bailing.
And great to have you join us. We're happy you're here. We're racing at Bristol, and there's no dirt on the track. Everyone says, we need to get back to racing on the concrete. Well, that's what we have. Glad you could join us. Todd Bailing in sunny Phoenix, Arizona, joined by my three cheesehead co-hosts, starting with Brian Schmidt of Oostburg, USA. Hi, Brian.
Good morning. Good morning. Happy St. Patty's Day for those who are Irish, which I am not. So no green beer for me today.
We just figured out that none of us are Irish. That's pretty... Well, I think there's a little Irish in PJ Noodleman of Trempealeau, Wisconsin, but not enough really to mention, or just enough to have a green beer.
Only enough to have a green beer and claim I need a discount. So, yeah.
It's beautiful. I love it. And, of course, our producer and longtime cohort, Dan Margetta of St. Francis. Hi.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, back to concrete on Bristol. The dump trucks on the dirt were kind of fun for a couple of years, and it just wasn't sustainable.
And you guys are much more dirt mentality than I am, the guys, and not necessarily PJ, because I don't really know, PJ, how much dirt you love to watch. But these two love everything, and I'm just curious from you two what you think of the grand experiment, and are you glad it's over?
Oh, it was cool that they did it, but yeah, it was just an experiment. That's what it was, and those aren't true dirt cars, so you're not really getting the effect of what the cool part about dirt racing is. You know, their inability to do the slide jobs like you see a sprint car or a late model do. They kind of just lumber around there, and you know, longer races. Dirt racing really isn't designed for longer races. You know, a 100-lapper in a late model race is about the max you're going to get, and even some of those can become snooze fests. People will say that the 40 to 50 lappers are the best. You know, sprint cars, 40 laps is about the max they run, unless you take a break like they do at Knoxville. So, I mean, it was all right. It was something to try, but those cars really don't belong on the dirt, and they're best suited for pavement racing, and that's where they belong.
From the little that I know, I agree. It always amazed me why it is that we can't or refuse to change up the cars. It's about the cars. It always has been about the cars, and that's the real answer. But sometimes, you know, wouldn't it have been cool to have a dirt car? It would have been too much of an expense, apparently. But to have them all run dirt cars, 36 dirt cars wouldn't have been that bad. I mean,
we did that years ago. It's called the Prelude to the Dream, and put those guys in actual late models and raced. But
true.
You know, I don't know. I think each series has their own spot, and that's where you belong in your series. You know, we're not going to put Cup guys in Indy cars and have them run a full Indy car race either. You know, that's what makes it unique to the dirt late model or the sprint car or the Indy car or the Formula One is that type of car and those drivers running in those cars. And
stay in your lane.
Yes, stay in your lane. Yep, watch your own bobber.
Interesting. They did run a race yesterday, and I was. There was good news and there was bad news with running the trucks back on the concrete again. There was some interesting action, and I think much of it may have come from the fact that they put the PJ1, not the co-host, the track treatment, the sticky stuff they put around the bottom groove, and they qualified on it. And of course, drivers, nobody says, wow, that was really great. Everybody gets out of the car, no matter what the problem is, and says, it's terrible. But between qualifying and running the trucks, there was some crazy action, and they had three wide, more than once at this narrow track, and a pretty wild truck race yesterday. But they didn't have very many leaders, so it was a little bit of each, don't you guys think?
Yeah, that PJ1 started peeling up. The Cup drivers were bitching about that, and I heard it on a couple of guys' scanners in the truck race prior to it starting, saying the PJ1 is peeling up, so it's going to get a little dicey out there until it gets all off. And pretty much every driver was like, "Oh, great!" So yeah, there was really only one lane.
Did they?
Kind of why the field is scattered today. If you look at the starting lineup, you've got a lot of good cars in the back. They're kind of mixed throughout the event because some guys hit it right and some guys had problems with that, and it really mixed the field up qualifying wise.
But I mean, 500 laps is a long time to get your car right and to avoid problems and to be around at the end. So I mean, think about that. It's a huge event, and we'll yeah,
Actually,
it's always fun to watch.
Actually, it's not the PJ1. It's the resin they use at Charlotte, so it's different. It's not the. There's two.
Well,
different-
it didn't work. It's the bottom line. Whatever it was, it didn't work, and it was peeling off.
You think they reapplied it?
Yeah, they did.
They did. Okay, so interesting. So, so it'll be like when they went out to qualify now, and when everyone was complaining about it. By the way, Christian Eckes, how about that? Beats Kyle Busch in a truck race. That right there is notable enough. The kid did a great job. Kyle Busch won the first two stages, for which he gets bonus points in a championship that he's not running for, which is kind of waste. But Eckes
was loaded for bear. I mean, he lost it last year, and he should have won it last year. So I think he was bound and determined to not let anything get in his way, and he did a good job.
Oh my God, did he do a nice job? By the way, Ty Majeski had his problems. He was running pretty competitively. I did see the replay this morning, and he did bobble once, which kind of caused a crash. But the car. The truck actually expired an engine. You were listening to him?
I was listening to the scanner, and he said, "Guys, I'm losing the engine. I think it's blowing up." And they brought it down into the pits. I heard Joe, when they had the hood up, I heard Joe Shears say, "What's the engine number on there?" And somebody rattled it off, and he said that I think that was one of the Elmore recalled engines.
Oh,
so I don't know. I don't know if they were just saying that for effect or if that was legit or whatever, but the engine was expiring, unfortunately.
Didn't Johnny Sauter have that problem with ThorSport too near the end of his career there too? A lot of engine issues. And these are supposed to be like spec engines that you get from Ilmore, and it seems to be that ThorSport always has an issue with those.
I don't know.
Interesting. Ryan Blaney, by the way, will start from the pole position today. 124.954. I think I don't have it in front of me, but I'm pretty sure he wasn't fast qualifier. He's just on the pole. You know, they all run a first round, and then the second round we take, because we're trying to emulate dirt racing and have two groups and take 5 from each and blah, 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 blah.
No. That dirt racing don't do that. They qualify in 2 groups, but that's your heat race. So.
Oh, yeah, that's true too. Well,
Formula One they're trying to emulate.
I think the 19 car was fast qualifier, and he's not even in the top 10. So that's how it works sometimes. Stages will be at lap 125 and 250 of this 500 lapper. The green flag, it's be televised on Fox today. Everybody gets to see it, even if you don't have cable TV. Green is at 247. They're looking at mid-50s and only a 5% chance of any kind of precipitation. Then again, as bad as their luck has been this year, if there's 5% chance, it'll find a way to cause a caution for a while. That's how that works, it seems like lately. Last week was a very interesting race out here in Phoenix. A lot of speculation and talk and suggestions, and, well, we'll get into just a little bit of that after we take our first break. We're glad you tuned in, and LTN will return right after these.
From racing engines to street engines, long blocks to turnkey packages, or complete custom engines. Just ask and Wagner Automotive can fill your needs. All backed by many years of racing experience. These years of experience have provided reliability and performance that customers need to win races. Wagner's has been building championship winning engines for top teams from NASCAR to short tracks in your backyard. This expertise has carried over to street engines they supply to top custom car builders. The Wagner Company in the heart of Wisconsin is outfitted with the state-of-the-art machinery necessary to design, manufacture, build, and test custom engines and their accessory parts. Dyno services are independently available for anyone needed to test their engine. Wagner's Company can also provide you or your company with production CNC machining or welding services. All your questions and requests are handled personally by Casey Wagner. Just give us a call at 920-394-3557 or visit our website at wagnerautomotive.com. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily, from premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit PMFlandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
Wisconsin Badger basketball. It's Championship Sunday of the Big Ten Tournament.
To the rim, reverse layup is good!
Seeding is on the line for the big dance. Matt LePay's pregame show starts at 1:30. Tip at 2:30 on 97.3 The Game and your iHeartRadio app.
All good news from Phoenix as far as I'm concerned. The television broadcast actually was up 19% from the year before, which you think about how we've been watching the ratings kind of dwindle the last couple years, and things got better. We're at least drawing more eyes, which is what the whole thing is about. On the other hand, what exactly did they see? Is this the best that NASCAR can do on what's considered a short track? I guess, it used to be it was mile and over were super speedways, and anything under a mile, well, it's not that way anymore. Now a mile is considered a short track as far as I'm concerned. And the short track package, the new one, was on full display last week. Christopher Bell wins. Congratulations. Really had a good car. Needed some brakes. Like, for instance, a car owner driving for someone else takes his own car out of the lead. What the hell was that? I wouldn't have been so upset if I didn't have money on the 45 car. But either way, I think Bell did just a wonderful job. But the talk all week long has been about the short track package. And I'm not sure what to think. First of all, what is NASCAR's logic at this point? And you guys can come in. Why they're keeping, and don't tell me that it's a cost-effective thing, because all the engine builders are saying the same thing. It's not going to be a big difference to give the cars more horsepower, which is what everybody is screaming about. And so, really, do we know what NASCAR's overall mentality is on this?
Maybe they don't want to feel like they've been strong-armed into making a change. They want to make it look like it was their own move, so they won't do it when everybody wants them to.
Oh, isn't that perfect?
Which is really ridiculous. I mean, especially when you have the drivers coming out saying it. This week, Kyle Larson said, we could have 1,000 horsepower cars tomorrow if we wanted. And it's just a matter of, having that tapered spacer on it. And why they don't do it, I don't know. I didn't really notice much of a difference. And many of the guys said it too. There's really not a lot of difference with this package. I don't really – visually you could not see what was going on differently there. The racing was the same. And Phoenix is a tough track anyway. We know that. But why not try it just to see what would happen? We're going to be in this package now for the next 4 weeks. Road courses, these cars have really stunk up road courses. So that's one where if you have more horsepower, it's all about braking and getting off the corner. And the more power you give them, the harder it is to brake, which makes it for more opportunities to pass, especially on a road course. And you have to be more careful off the throttle coming off the corner, or you could spin your tires, and that makes it more difficult too. So I just don't understand it, especially when you have this many drivers talking about it. Danny Hamlin was talking about it. Hamlin was saying, I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like the drivers all want it, and that maybe they're the ones driving the cars. Maybe they might know something. But was it one of the guy from Colleague that was on Sirius this week? Was it Chris Rice that said that one reason he had heard was if you give them more horsepower, the cars don't stay together as long and they get strung out quicker, and that might tend to people think it's a boring race again too.
NASCAR likes pack racing. We know that, even though when you go to Talladega or Daytona, it's it's a wreck-a-thon. We have to there has to be a fine line there that they have to deal with. But even when the very popular Denny Hamlin says things like, as a car owner now, a driver and a car owner said the same thing. It's not going to cost us any more, although I've seen that perhaps get contested, that the engines may not live as long. Well, that throws another X factor into it, don't you think?
It's just a deal though where if it's not a big thing to change and all it is a spacer situation, then let's check this box and find out if it works. Let's try it once, and if they do get spread out like Chris Rice says, well then we know that's not going to work either then, because let's try to eliminate the possibilities here of what could make it the best form. And it's like they don't want to really try that one. They always want to leave this one. You're always going to have this sitting over there. Everybody always saying, well, let's try this and see if it works. But we haven't tried it, so we don't know.
So here's the interesting part, though. If they were to try it, where would they try it at? Because you don't want to screw up the opportunity to make it into the playoffs.
All-star race.
Well, that would probably make the most sense, Brian.
That was a terrible race last year. I mean, that was as bad as it got. Kyle Larson just dominated that in every form of it. And if it wasn't for the fact it was the first time we were back at North Wilkesboro, you probably would have heard more about it. But now we're going back there again. It's a brand new track. Surface.
Yeah, it was repaved, and they had a tire test this week, too.
So you have about 2 months, roughly 2 months from right now when that race is going to happen. That would be their chance to roll it out. Unlimited, you got your all this tapered spacers, everything off of it, and let's give it a shot and see. If it's a great race, we know what to do going forward. If it's terrible, well, then we could check the box and say that didn't work.
See there, it's such a simple answer. And, I think that's really what it is. NASCAR doesn't say, just because everyone's screaming, that doesn't mean we have to do it. We're in charge here. Don't tell us. Well, I think even the fact that Denny Hamlin, because the irons he has in the fire are multi, he's not just a driver, which seems to be an easy fix. Let's just put more horsepower. But it's the other side of Hamlin. That's the guy that will actually end up paying the bills if it costs more to do that. And he's the one that's leading the parade here. I think that's just because nobody likes Denny Hamlin. Maybe that's it, right? But it's not just Hamlin saying it. It's pretty much everybody. So if you have an opinion on this subject, and I'm sure many people do, or about anything we talk about on this program, you can call us anytime at 414-421-7901 and let us know what you think. I think the fact that we're up 19% in ratings is a huge number, and it was the most watched event. Of course, it helps. March Madness hadn't started yet, and this is a really good sign, I think. But now, let's make it even better. We can do this. It's a work in progress, and let's get it going. And that seems to be
compared to other motorsports, it's really good. I mean, you got 4 million people watching the Cup race, 900 and some thousand watching the IndyCar race, and even less than the Formula One race. I mean,
they were down. Indy and Formula were both down. What was going on? I thought Formula was the new thing that everybody was suddenly so interested in. And what happened there?
Well, I think they moved the date of the race too. Formula races were always on Sunday mornings, and the last two have been on Saturday mornings. And I mean, it took me by surprise. Woke up on Saturday morning and turned the TV on, and there's a race, and I'm thinking, is this even live? So that might have caught some people off guard. You're going to get more people watching it on a Sunday morning than a Saturday morning. And IndyCar, I totally forgot that IndyCar even opened last week. And again, that's a product of NBC. Why they don't really promote it as well as they should. And I think Fox has done an outstanding job this year with their new crew in the booth, and the way they've been pushing this. You have your daily show on FS1, where NBC doesn't have that anymore because they don't have that show. So I think Fox is really showing how well they can promote this sport and doing the job that they do to garner the money that they're making.
Very well put. That seems like you hit it right on the head there, Brian. We're glad you're tuned in. We'll be back after these.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
Miller Sales and Service is the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer for customer service and satisfaction. Serving the area since 1939, Miller's is located on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. As the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer, Miller's has all kinds of Bravo trailers from 8 feet to 48 feet in stock. They also have a selection of B&B utility and dump trailers, reliable and Chilton open aluminum and steel trailers. With over 50 pre-owned low-mileage cars, trucks, and SUVs, Miller's has just the vehicle you are looking for. Miller's also carries a full line of Alumacraft boats and Manitou pontoon boats, complete with Evinrude outboards. Why not buy from racers who know what racers want and need? With Miller's Sales and Service on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. Call Jerry, Tom, or Brad Miller today at 920-994-4358. That's Miller's Sales and Service, 920-994-4358.
Tomasino follows. He got to the dot. Tried to tuck it, and he scored! Oh, yeah! The Milwaukee Admirals' 4-game Western road trip continues Tuesday when they travel to Colorado to take on the Eagles. Wrist shot, he scored! Pre-game coverage at 7:30. Face-off at 8 o'clock on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
Happy birthday out there this week. Mike Egan, Brad Miller, and Jerry Miller all celebrating birthdays this week. It's great to keep aging. I know this. When you're faced with not aging, it's a wonderful thing.
Did yours coming up like in a couple days?
I was going to say, you're in 2 days, Todd.
Yeah, in 2 days. I know. I'm still here. I'm happy. It's all good. It must be not an easy thing to be Kyle Busch's crew. He's now going to have his third mixed up crew from the original crew that started at Daytona. There's some video out there of how it sounds when Kyle is not happy about something that happened in the pits, which is, I think, entertaining. Yeah. You couldn't really hear that. Play that again, Matt. Well, see there, proof positive. He didn't sound too happy to me. I don't know what the hell he said there, but so he's going to have now the original Jackman who started the year out with him is now going to be his Jackman at the next race, which is COTA, by the way. We're going to a road course. Road course racing begins. We're going to have more than your typical 36. This is where they add some guys, don't they, Dan?
Well, there's actually open cars actually showing up for the COTA race. It'd be the first time we really had a couple since Daytona. We haven't had a full field since Daytona, and right now we got 39 entered. There's 3 extra open cars. The 13 car, it's a colleague car. AJ Allmendinger is going to drive that because Shane Van Gisbergen's in the 16. The 50 car will show up. That's going to be a third 2311 car, and that's going to be that Japanese driver, Kobayashi.
Brian, who is it?
Kobayashi.
He's the only one of us that really knows how to pronounce Brian's the only one that speaks Japanese. Okay, and Dan, who's the other one?
And then the other one's a 66 car. I think if Timmy Hill's going to show it, is that M Motorsports car that hasn't been in it for a couple of years. They used to be around a couple of years ago. They're kind of make a run.
Carl Long's team? Is that what that
I think that was.
Oh.
3 there. And that Kobayashi, he's not the hot dog guy, right? That's a different Kobayashi.
Yeah, that's Takeru Kobayashi.
Oh, yeah. You know your first names yet besides. I don't know my Takeru.
Kobayashi drives in the World Endurance Championship, which is very similar to the IMSA cars you see on this neck of the woods here. And one of the Toyota team drivers, won the 24 Hours of Le Mans multiple times. So he's got a very impressive resume. So we'll see how he.
Maybe the other guy will drive Martinsville.
All those drivers, not a one of them gets me excited. Allmendinger maybe, because he's pretty good on road courses. He's much better on road courses than he is on oval tracks. But to me, the fact that we get to see Shane Van Gisbergen again on a road course, that guy was absolutely spectacular at Chicago, and it seems to me that he's already the favorite going into COTA. As long as he's got a decent car, and I guess we're going to find that out, right? And also, how are these are the same rules that we ran at Phoenix that we're going to run on a road course, right?
Yep, and that's the unfortunate part about it is, the braking and the acceleration off the corner are so key in road racing, and the more power you have and the more braking you need is where you make your passes. So I think if they would just be able to get off their high horse and let them do it, especially at a road course, I think that's where you'd see the difference, because that's been the biggest knock on this car. This car was designed to be a road race car, and it hasn't produced on a road course, and that's primarily why.
Isn't that just amazing? It was so fun watching SVG at Chicago. He looked like he had 25 more horsepower than anybody else, and it was just the fact that the guy was so super aggressive on his turns and coming off the turns, and it's going to be worth.
That was
in Chicago. We had the wet surface to start that race as well, which
nobody had seen that track before either. I mean, it was brand new to everybody's on the same page. I mean, some of these guys have had a couple of years now at COTA to know how to get around there.
Yeah, we're going to find out just how good this guy is, and it'll be fun to keep track of for absolute sure. By the way, at Phoenix with this package, a couple of cars were surprising. I guess it wasn't real surprising that Childress cars had such a terrible day. Kyle was out to lunch, and the 3 car was involved early, and he was not a factor all day. But what was surprising to me was how bad Hendrick Motorsports was. They just couldn't get out of their own way. And it's almost hilarious, some of the comments about, they're bad now, but wait till we come back. They're suddenly going to be real good here. Well, where's the disconnect? Come on. Those cars are so good when they have to be. And yet, last week, they were terrible.
Well, they weren't great in fall either. If you think about it, they had 2 guys in the Final Four, and neither one of them were big-time factors, if I remember that race correctly. And so they've had some struggles there the last couple of years. And since Larson won the championship in 21, they haven't been as good. And it kind of relates to this new car. They just haven't been as good at Phoenix in this new car since it's come out. So they definitely have to get their stuff squared away before the fall, or
and you think about
see Penske win the title for the 3rd year in a row.
It's not a Chevy deal. I mean, because the one car won it at the fall. That one,
right.
Chastain won. That's a Chevy team, and this last race, I think the Toyotas really showed up. They got a new nose, right? Toyota and Ford have a new nose this year.
After being bad early too, Dan, and all of a sudden Toyota comes, and where did all this come from? Yeah, they were really good. So
Ross was the best of the Chevrolets last week again.
Yeah, top 5 finishes, of the best 6th. They could muster. 6th, is that where he was? Oh yeah.
Yep. And the best Hendrick car was 14th with Kyle Larson. You just don't see that out of them real often.
Amazing. Brian, it's funny you were bringing up how Fox has been so good in their coverage this year. NBC is already scrambling, it seems to me. They've had Rick Allen as their main anchor, play-by-play guy for the Cup Series, and he's going to be replaced after the Olympics by Lee Diffie, which is kind of an interesting move, don't you think?
Yeah, Lee Diffie does a great job with IndyCar, but
he does.
I don't know how well NASCAR fans are going to love that Australian accent during NASCAR races.
They're not.
It just doesn't seem to fit. No.
Yeah.
And I love Lee Diffie's great. Don't get me wrong. He does some IMSA stuff for him sometimes too. He's great with that. But I just don't think your mind is gonna have a weird thought in your mind when you hear him and you're watching a NASCAR race. It just isn't gonna fit.
NASCAR is trying to become an international entity.
I don't think this is NASCAR. I think this is on NBC yet again. You know, I mean, Mike Joy is as good as it gets. It's hard to replace him. He doesn't yell. He doesn't scream at you. He doesn't lecture you like Rick Allen does. But, you know, if Lee Diffie is calm and lets the other guys do the work, it might be okay. But we'll see.
Seems like NBC is trying to figure out how to get more like Fox. Is this going to work? We'll see. We'll be back.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit PMFlandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
The Dan Patrick Show.
Dan Patrick. Yeah!
She's a great player, and I wonder, Caitlin Clark is 22. So 8-9 years ago, she's 13 years of age. She's already said that, you know, Steph Curry had a huge influence on her because we think they're bad shots, but they're not bad shots for her.
The Dan Patrick Show.
Dan and the Danettes and you.
Weekday mornings, 8 to 11 a.m. on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
Welcome back to LTN as we're celebrating St. Patrick's Day, although none of us are Irish or drinking green beer early in the morning, but we're still celebrating. They're going to do some things at the track today, too. I don't know. I guess there'll be some surprises. Hey, early in the year, I realize, but there are a couple of guys that better be looking over their shoulder at this point. Alex Bowman, to me, is on thin ice. There's lots of things you can say. There's lots of reasons. But Alex Bowman is driving for the most prolific car owner in NASCAR, and he's not showing up. Is it the team? Is it the driver? Is it the car? What's the problem? Alex Bowman is been pretty bad. At the same time, you know, I can't say that I've always been a Carson Hocevar fan, but you guys have to admit he's looking pretty racy early going here, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's doing pretty well in that car. And remember, that team stepped up this year. They're not the same Spire team they had last year, so the equipment's a lot better. And I think he's doing all right. Now, his issue is he usually drives it over his head and gets, which is a typical rookie move, which kind of happened in qualifying. You saw at Bristol. But, yeah, I thought for the first couple races, I thought he's done okay. He's always been a wheelman. The problem there was always the attitude or the thinking and just getting yourself in stupid things he shouldn't be getting into anymore.
Yeah, well, that's the rookie thing, right? His brain isn't attached to his right foot all the time. But it's, I'd rather throttle a guy back than to try to put something into him. And Hocevar's been good. But now, so Bowman, I mean, where do you go from here? Bowman, he's attached. And I don't even know if they have a plan B over at Hendrick at the end of the year. What would they say? Well, who would they put into a Hendrick car?
The sponsor is a big thing. If Ally's happy with him, I think he stays. If not, and if they want to perform better, then maybe they start looking somewhere else. And all you got to do is put the feelers out for a Hendrick car. I mean, I'm sure people will line up, take their shot. How about Joey Logano? He's in the hole big time. I mean, he's not. I think he's safe on his ride, but. He's way down now, 4 races into the year. It's going to be hard to get out of that hole. I realize a win will put you in the playoffs right away.
That's the thing, Dan. I don't think anybody is worried about Logano. I think we're more worried about Bowman, that he's not, do you think Bowman's going to win a race? Well, I guess he could, right? He's done it before, but he's going to have to pull one out of nowhere. And Logano, he's going to win. It's just a matter of time. The next question would be, what do you do with Harrison Burton? Exactly. He's
Cash his
not
checks.
doing the job.
Yeah.
What's
just
that?
Cashing checks.
You just keep cashing his checks.
Yeah, but that's so unlike Penske. He's just not. You can have all the money to pay for a ride you want, but he wants a guy in there who's going to be running up front.
But that's like that particular team appears to be Penske's like their quote unquote minor league team. Because you haven't had a guy win in that car since Ryan Blaney, and that's many years ago already. You had Paul Menard in there for a while, and you had Guido in there for a while. You've had these other guys in that car for a while, and that car just didn't win. So it's not like they expect that car to win on a regular basis with the Wood brothers, which is unfortunate for them. A team like that with that kind of history, it would be nice to see them running up front regularly, but it just doesn't seem to be a priority at Penske. So as long as the checks keep coming in from the Burton family, I think Harrison's safe.
I'm thinking about the Hendrick deal. Who would you put in there right now? What's their minor league? Look at JRM Motorsports on the Xfinity side. Allgaier's not really going to come back up to Cup. I think he's happy where he's at. Sammy Smith, okay. Brandon Jones, okay. I mean, Sam Mayer's name would probably come up there. Is he ready yet? I don't know. I mean, he had a rough start to this year too.
Yeah, that's a pretty obvious name, but I agree, Dan. It seems like he needs a little more seasoning before he's ready for the big time. He certainly took a big step last year, but once he gets up to the big show, what a built-in rivalry we've had cooking for a while with he and Ty Gibbs. That's going to be fun to watch in itself, But yeah,
and even look at Gibbs. I mean, they kind of threw him in the mix, and he turned out okay. I mean, he hasn't won yet, but he was third last week. And
there's so many positives with that guy, and making everybody happy is not. He only needs to make one guy happy, and that's Grandpa. It's Tim Cindric that his kid that makes me nervous. Is Austin only in that car because his dad is Tim Cindric, who runs Penske? That's what everyone has always thought. He won his first race. Well, he won Daytona. It can't be that bad.
Yeah, Daytona 500 wins go a long way. I mean,
yeah.
Look what it did for
Trevor Bayne.
Yes.
For who?
Trevor Bayne. Bayne won in 2011. He was around for a while and didn't do a whole lot after that. Now he's in a
usually good for 4 or 5 years after you win one of those, and then they start looking at your performance again. So when did Austin win that? In 22? So he's got a couple of years probably of grace period yet.
And Tyler Reddick was even as the guy was winning championships, nobody was talking about him in the Xfinity series. And he has, by the time he jumped into a Cup car for the first time for Childress and started racing, he got everybody's attention in a hurry. They end up fighting over him. And you can see he is on the verge of just superstardom. I just can't believe how good Tyler Reddick is. And he's still young, and he's got a fantastic future ahead of him.
Yeah, and I think he's somebody to really watch as far as – I'm glad he got the opportunity he did. I mean, they kind of forgot about him when he was over at Junior Motorsports. They won the championship. He kind of came out of nowhere, won it twice, and then he went to Childress, won it, and now he's in the Cup Series. And I thought Childress had a really good deal there, and I thought they lost a good driver when 2311 scooped him up. Thinking about him, he's so hard on himself. It seems like sometimes it's almost too hard. It's like, dude, you're hurting yourself by being that hard on yourself. You're not that bad.
And
it's kind of like Bubba Wallace in that regard. Although
who's
I think
looked a lot better, by the way.
Yeah, but in a way, Bubba seems to do it more for the attention versus true self beating up, if that makes sense.
Yeah, kind of does. I'm thinking of what position is the Toyota camp in without having the Kyle Busch Motorsports feeder line. Truex is on his way. You got to say is he 43 now, 44? You start getting over 40 and people start looking around, even though it's a proven fact. You look all the time and it's the guys that have been around a while that are still the absolute icons of the sport. And Truex as an ex-champion, and he's still competitive. But how much longer does he have there? And more importantly, who does Toyota have in line to bring up and take his place?
I really thought was weird is lately all these consultant. All the old guys coming back and working as consultants. Matt Kenseth is over at the Legacy Motor Club. Bobby Labonte came back to Joe Gibbs, and it's like, we can almost have our own little exhibition race on Saturday with the consultants,
Well, now that SRX is gone, what are we going to do with these great drivers? Bring them back as consultants. And it's amazing that we've done that. Corey LaJoie, you're going to have to win, or that team might just get too good for you. We'll be back.
Miller Sales and Service is the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer for customer service and satisfaction. Serving the area since 1939, Miller's is located on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. As the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer, Miller's has all kinds of Bravo trailers from 8 feet to 48 feet in stock. They also have a selection of B&B utility and dump trailers, reliable and Chilton open aluminum and steel trailers. With over 50 pre-owned low-mileage cars, trucks, and SUVs, Miller's has just the vehicle you are looking for. Miller's also carries a full line of Alumacraft boats and Manitou pontoon boats, complete with Evinrude outboards. Why not buy from racers who know what racers want and need? With Miller's Sales and Service on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. Call Jerry, Tom, or Brad Miller today at 920-994-4358. That's Miller's Sales and Service, 920-994-4358.
PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit PMFlandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
Wisconsin Badger basketball. It's Championship Sunday of the Big Ten Tournament.
To the rim, reverse layup is good!
Seating is on the line for the big dance. Matt LePay's pregame show starts at 1:30. Tip at 2:30 on 97.3 The Game and your iHeartRadio app.
LTN Hour presents Dirt on the Dirt with Brian Schmidt.
A smorgasbord of dirt racing across the country this weekend as Mother Nature gave us a break, and we were able to get a bunch of shows in. We'll start Friday night. Vado, New Mexico, the winter meltdown for the USRA Modifieds. Jake Gallardo got the win Friday night. Colcord, Oklahoma, the Arrowhead Speedway for the Comp Cams Super Dirt Car Series for the super late models, $5,000 a win. Logan Martin got the win. They raced indoors down in Du Quoin, Illinois at the Southern Illinois Center for the Extreme Midget Car Series, part of World Racing Group's version of that, and fan favorite Thomas Meserol got the win there Friday night. Chico, California, Silver Dollar Speedway, the Mini Gold Cup for 410 sprint cars. DJ Neto got the win. And in Page, Texas, at the Cotton Bowl Speedway, the World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series got back underway. Brett Marks got the win. Bill Baylog was there, finished 8th, so a solid top 10 for him Friday night. Last night, night number 2 of the Winter Meltdown in Vado, New Mexico, Rodney Sanders got the modified feature win. Night number 2 in Du Quoin, Illinois for the Extreme Midgets, Kenan McIntosh got the win. Port Royal, Pennsylvania, the Short Track Super Series for the Big Block Modifieds, the Speed Showcase 75. $50,000 on the line last night for them, and Matt Shepard, who seems to be the king of the big blocks when the Truck Series driver is not there, got the win there. Lucky break for them not having Stuart Friesen there, so that allowed Matt Shepard to grab the big money. Springfield, Missouri, the Comp Cam Super Series for the super late models. Clayton Stuckey got his first ever win. Florence, Kentucky, the Northern All-Star Late Model Series, Spring 50, $10,000 to win. Ricky Thornton Jr. back in the winner's circle. It's been a while since he's won a race, probably almost a month. He didn't do all that great down at Speed Week, so everything's right with the world. Ricky Thornton Jr. got a win again. Talladega, Alabama, the Hunt the Front Super Late Model Series, the Bama Bash, $15,000 to win. Brandon Overton got the win. Night number 2 in Chico, California for the Mini Gold Cup for the 410 Sprints. Cole Macedo grabbed the win. And finally in Page, Texas, the Cotton Bowl Speedway, night number 2 for the World of Outlaw Sprint Cars. Giovanni Scelzi grabbed the win, and Bill Baylog finished 7th. So Bill Baylog's rookie year, a couple of top 10s. Not much more you could ask for there. And that is all the results. However, big news in the world of dirt racing this past weekend.
Drama.
It was out of nowhere. This kind of came absolutely out of nowhere, where Hudson O'Neal gave his notice to Mark Richards and the number 1 car that he is not going to be piloting that car anymore. Basically, just out of the blue, there had been issues going on there, lots of issues that haven't been overly documented, but there's been some out there to explain that just the philosophies weren't the same between him and Mark Richards. And Mark Richards is a pretty nose to the grindstone kind of guy. You gotta be all in with him all the time. And him and Hudson didn't see eye to eye. So you're defending Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series champion. You're defending World 100 winner he won 4 times during speed weeks, and that number 1 car is out. And it didn't take long for them to find a replacement as Tim McCready, the 49-year-old from New York, who's kind of been off and on. He won a race at Alltech back during speed weeks and was pretty happy in his Donald Bradshaw-owned car out of Carolinas. Richards gave him the call, asked him if he wanted to do it. McCready went back to the Bradshaw group and said, hey, this is an opportunity I have. And Donald told him, hey, go for it. This is an opportunity of a lifetime for you to go to that car, so have at it. And so Tim McCready...
Rocket 1 is like the Hendrick of the dirt car world, right?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Brian,
yes.
Did Hudson O'Neal quit over a fishing tournament?
Well, it was a lot of things, and I think that was the final straw that broke the camel's back there, was that there were certain things that Hudson O'Neal had always planned on doing all the time and certain times that he had to be there, and it's kind of like one of those deals, from what I understand, where Richards was like, hey, you got to be at the shop. And it was kind of almost like a spite thing. And Hudson had enough. And this had been building, from what I've heard, building for over a year. There's some issues with some merchandising issues, too, that went on there. And it just kind of kept building to the point where Hudson goes, I can't take it anymore. And we kind of saw him a little bit during Speed Weeks when I was there. And he didn't, for a guy that won as many races as he has, I mean, yeah, he had hurt his wrist at the time we saw him. And he looked like that was more of his in pain, but there might have been more stuff going on there, and he just didn't click. So will be interesting to see. McCready's car now, you'll ask, where does that thing going to go? Well, they had a second car that 23-year-old Carson Ferguson had been driving locally, and it sounds like they're going to put him in that car, so the young kid's going to get a break there. Not sure if these cars are going to run on the full Lucas Oil Series or not going forward. And the other thing is, it's going to be interesting to see where the points lie now, because – and I don't know if Lucas Oil hasn't really come out and said this. Do the points go with the driver or with the team? So when McCready hops in this 1 car now, is he going to take his points that he had over Speed Weeks, or is he going to take the Rocket 1 points? Haven't seen any comment on that yet of how that works.
No, still to be determined.
Yeah, and Hudson O'Neal next week, just for 1 week, is going to hop in the 6 car that's Kevin Rumley-owned car that Kyle Larson drives, which Kyle's going to be on a much more limited schedule this year because he's got all these commitments with the sprint car world. And Hudson's going to hop in that car and run it next week. And from there, we don't know what's going to happen, where he's going to go. And then there's the drama with the tire situation, too, with Bobby Pierce getting kicked out of the World of Outlaws for 4 races. That opens the door there as far as the World of Outlaw points are going to be wide open once they get going next week again. Devin Moran got gonged for tires down in Volusia as well. Haven't heard if Lucas is going to also follow through with the punishment because it was in a different series. Back in the day, they always said, hey, if it happens in one series, we're going to follow you here. Haven't seen it. I don't know if Lucas is going to do it or not when they get going again next week. So lots of drama on the dirt late model thing. Something nobody saw this even coming a week ago today. So
amazing. And in the world of asphalt, PJ, they raced in L.A.
Lower Alabama. Sure. Okay, Todd. Yeah, actually, they ended up running the Rattler 250 yesterday because today it was just going to all be rain. So they did it all yesterday and last night. The Baby Rattler 125, the Pro Late Model race. Jake Finch picked up the win in that. Jeremy Miller was 7th, and Mike Litchfield finished 10th after having some engine issues. Didn't really get as much practice, so not too shabby, all things considered, for him. The Rattler 250 then, the super late model race, Bubba Pollard picked up his 3rd win of that particular race. Justin Mondyke finished 3rd.
How about that?
I know.
Sounds like he might have had a pretty good crew chief there.
I was happy that at least they got to the podium, so that was good for Tobe, too. Gabe Summers down there as well, finished 11th. Austin Nason had some troubles. He ended up 20th in that race. So now the Stars Tour has got their 2nd race coming up in Pensacola. Also, the ARCA Series is going to be running, and Bubba Pollard going to be doing the ARCA race, and then he's getting set to go run Richmond in the Xfinity Series with Dale Earnhardt Jr.
in case you didn't catch my reference, PJ's esteemed husband, Toby, was the crew chief on that 44 car that finished third, and with Justin Mondyke, who really, really had a nice run. A couple breaks, that's always good. And but he sure got stronger as the race went on. A couple of those late race restarts. I tell you, if Bubba hadn't been so damn unbelievably dominant, he might have had. That might have been a little different, but it was fun to watch. That's for damn sure. We're glad you're tuned in. We'll be back here on LTN right after these.
From racing engines to street engines, long blocks to turnkey packages, or complete custom engines, just ask and Wagner Automotive can fill your needs. All backed by many years of racing experience. These years of experience have provided reliability and performance that customers need to win races. Wagner's has been building championship-winning engines for top teams from NASCAR to short tracks in your backyard. This expertise has carried over to street engines they supply to top custom car builders. The Wagner Company, in the heart of Wisconsin, is outfitted with the state-of-the-art machinery necessary to design, manufacture, build, and test custom engines and their accessory parts. Dyno services are independently available for anyone needed to test their engine. Wagner's Company can also provide you or your company with production CNC machining or welding services. All your questions and requests are handled personally by Casey Wagner. Just give us a call at 920-394-3557 or visit our website at wagnerautomotive.com. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily, from premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit PMFlandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
Tomasino follows. He got to the dot. He tried to tuck it, and he scored! Oh, yeah! The Milwaukee Admirals' 4-game Western road trip continues Tuesday when they travel to Colorado to take on the Eagles. Wrist shot. He scored! Pre-game coverage at 7:30. Face-off at 8 o'clock on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio
app. Welcome back. We're not really known for our uncanny ability to pick winners on this program. Although I have to say my pick of Tyler Reddick was he was leading last week when his car owner took him out. So that shooshed that right down the old tubes. As they go to Bristol, I like to think that experience means something at this track. And I'm going to go with Kyle Busch today just because he's been so good here in the past. And they need to turn that program around. Some people would say it looks as though Childress isn't ready to win. His pit crew's in disarray. What a perfect place for them to pull one out. So that's going to be my pick. All right, fight over everybody else, you guys. Who's next? Dan. Let's try Dan.
I like the way you're thinking. I mean, I think Busch is going to have a good run today. I'm going to go way out on a limb, way out on a limb. Brad Keselowski ends the winless streak and gets a win in the 6 car.
That would be a long shot. Interesting, Brian.
I think this is a Denny Hamlin type of day. He's really good at these short tracks, and if there's not a whole lot of passing going on, I think he's going to be the guy to beat.
Yeah, he's starting second row, so that might be the case. All right, Peach.
Well, I'm going to take the one I figured one of you would have. I'm taking Ryan Blaney. What the heck?
It's interesting to me that not a one of us took Kyle Larson. Is it the short track package that we may be avoiding because Hendrick hasn't really been all that great, or?
Yes.
Okay. Just checking out and seeing.
Get back to me when we go back to Texas. The Hendrick cars will be right up there.
Bobby Dotter is going to put a Formula One driver in his car next week, Brian?
Yes, this is kind of interesting for him. Daniel Kvyat. Now, he hasn't run Formula One in a couple of years, but he was a pretty solid Formula One driver in his days, and he's going to be driving the 07 car. Daniel Kvyat. Now, it's spelled differently, Daniil. Kvyat.
Danny Kvyat. Let's do it that way.
And yeah, he drove for that Herzbig Systems car a couple years ago out at Watkins Glen. So he has run some NASCAR stuff before. But
he's 2017 that Villeneuve drove for?
26 car it was back then.
Yeah, they had a 26 and a 27, didn't they? Because Villeneuve drove one too.
Yeah, the Herzbig or whatever. Herzberg or something like that. So, yeah, but he's going to be driving for Bobby Dotter next week in the 07 car. So we'll see how hopefully he doesn't wreck it for poor Bobby. That's the thing. Every now and then you put a couple of road course ringers on those cars and it doesn't work out so good. But this guy's got some pretty good stats, and he's been a solid driver over the years, and I totally forgot about him. Now I saw this announcement this week that he's coming to run the car at Dakota next week. So be interesting. Keep your eye on that car. Hopefully he has a good run.
I think Balicki's back in the 91 too in the Xfinity race.
Oh, okay.
Yep, probably, yes.
Just let's not call him Dangerous Danny Yill. Okay, that's taken. PJ, some news came. I mean, it was interesting that Justin Mondyke had such a great run at the Alabama, Lower Alabama Speedway. That's not really what it's called, but we heard some news from his camp that was kind of concerning this week with dear old dad.
Yeah, I've been kind of keeping it under my hat until they actually officially announced it, and Justin did now this weekend that his dad is fighting stage 4 prostate cancer. So the fact that Justin had such a great run, and his dad was down there in Alabama for the race as well too, kind of helping out on the crew. Pretty special weekend for them, and prayers continuing for Pete so that he can hopefully fight back and kick this disease's ass.
Yeah, no kidding. It's a tough one, too. This is the week. It's set to announce Tuesday. The Kawicki program is going to announce its 7 finalists. We've got a lot of irons in the fire there. We're kind of crossing our fingers that there's a couple of guys from Wisconsin, or at least that race in Wisconsin, that we get to watch on occasion. And that is coming this Tuesday. So it's a pretty exciting time for people, and hopefully we've got some representatives this week once again. So what are we looking at today, guys? Guys, I say guys, I mean all of us, PJ.
I'm not offended. Carry on.
Good. Whew. I like that. This, to me, if they have resined the track, it kind of depends on what they did and where they did it and how it's going to take. And did they scrape rubber off before they resin it? I would imagine that they do, but is that a good idea to scrape whatever rubber finally got put down on concrete? How does this work? Anybody know?
Well, if you ask Denny Hamlin, they peed in it, right?
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, I don't know. They put it in the lower groove, I think, right? So, I mean, they want to keep the lower groove because the top groove has got such momentum here. I get what they're trying to do. I'm not sure how it works. To me, it seems, it's just all, it's fake. You're putting some on there to create things that shouldn't be there as far as how the race goes. I mean, if the top groove's the way to go, then everybody have to go for the top. They don't want cars all in a single file lines, but they don't want. So
and sometimes they get that more by trying to manipulate it than actually just letting it play out.
Exactly. Yeah. If they would just let them race, they're going to go where they need to go. And you've got some pretty daring drivers who are going to push the envelope anyway and try to make a groove where maybe there isn't one. So it would have been a great race without having to add that resin.
And hopefully old Josh Berry has a good run. He's got such a good starting spot today. We haven't talked much about him here in his Cup debut, so be really cool to see him run up front all day.
All of the Stewart Haas cars have been disappeared. This is a good place maybe for them to show up and show us something, will you? It's been kind of a tough time here for the Stewart Haas team, and this would be a good place to do it. Thanks for tuning in with us. We love you. We're glad you tune in with us on Sunday mornings, and if you want to hang around for a bit, the Hangover Show on the internet is coming up next. For all of us involved with the program, we want everybody to remember that real race cars have doors, even if they do climb in through the windows. Let's Talk NASCAR is produced and directed by Dangerous Dan Margetta. Our engineer is Matt Losi. And for all of us involved, we love you, and we'll see you next week, everybody.
This program has come to you live from multiple locations via Skype. Any and all comments expressed on this show do not necessarily express the opinions of this station, its employees, or advertisers. Your comments are always welcome at mail@ltnradionetwork.com. Find us at facebook.com/LTN Radio Network. And thank you for your support since 1985. Tune in again next Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time for the LTN Hour on the LTN Radio Network.